Accelerated Breakthrough Mastermind. Gang, we do this every single week, every Tuesday, 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. And yet we're here to just pour into you. This is going to be a smaller call today with fewer attendees because of EXPCon, and I totally get that. Yet those of you who are missing out, we're going to send out the replay link. I want you to watch this because I've invited a very special guest, somebody that, quite frankly, I've really connected with over the course of the last, 3 years, Todd. And he's grown from being a solo agent to hear this, over 10 agents on his team. He's going to hit about 170 million in total sales volume this year. And it's all because of his commitment to just really implementing and deploying different strategies to grow his business. And he's here to pour into you guys today. His name is Todd Denman. And I'm so grateful, Todd, that you've made the decision to just join us today, free of charge, obviously, just to pour into everybody, just to give them some insight as to how to grow their business, their production, to really own a business in real estate sales instead of just being maybe a solo agent who has a lot of responsibility, a lot of headache, a lot of hassle, a lot of anxiety, right? So Todd, talk to me about your evolution, your growth. Just tell us your story. Just go ahead and rewind it a little bit and just tell us the story. How did you go from, maybe being a solo agent at maybe 15, 20 million in total sales volume up to 170 million in sales volume? What happened?
So first and foremost, thank you, Sean, for having me on here. And thank you all for joining today. Really, my goal, I wouldn't be as successful, quote unquote, if it wasn't for having other successful people pave the way and share. And so I'm really passionate about being an open book and sharing my highs and lows. It's certainly not been a straight path to where I'm at today. And I credit a lot of that to Sean. So the feeling's mutual, Sean.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, so I grew up with a contractor for a father, got into restaurant retail, was with Starbucks for 13 years, moved my way up to running 9 different Starbucks, and always had that entrepreneurial bug. Also had that kind of real estate bug because of my dad being in the business. And so when I looked to jump out of corporate America, it happened to be the real estate agent that my wife and I used to buy our first condo in 2011 that was doing a good job as a real estate agent, reaching out to her past clients. And she set up a dinner date with my wife and I. And by the end of that dinner date, she was like, Todd, we think you would take great care of our clients. Would you ever consider jumping into real estate? And it was a head scratching moment for me because I had some preconceptions about what being a real estate agent was, like I'm sure some of you do. And pretty quickly I saw an opportunity to change the reputation of what a real estate agent is and how important that role is for people. And yeah, that was back in 2011. I joined a husband and wife team as their buyer's agent and sold. It was kind of a match made in heaven. I just hopped right in, sold 30 houses in my first year, 40 houses in my second year. I really deployed a lot of the principles I had learned at Starbucks through leadership training, management training, customer service. And we really just plugged into that team, that husband and wife and me, we really just plugged into the model that's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book for you who have had experience with Keller Williams. And yeah, we grew that team to 13 of us and became a top player in the area. And it wasn't until I hired a coach that I started to get really clear on what my why was and what type of work I really wanted to be doing on a daily basis. And it really came down to my value proposition, which is having a positive impact on people. That was really what lights me up every day. And for me, it was really having a positive impact on the professionals that I'm seeing. And so my coach was like, Todd, you need to start a team. So in 2018, I jumped off of a 13-person team onto my own, and that's where Sean and I got connected. So I remember calling Sean, and he was in the airport, and we had a quick conversation, and it seemed like a good fit. And yeah, the advice I got in my first year in the business as a new buyer's agent was, Todd, the book's already been written on how to do this well. It's really important to get clear on where you're wanting to take your business and what how is your business going to support the lifestyle you want? And how is your business going to be created so that it allows you to do what you love to do every day and are good at versus the things you don't like to do? And so it was that plus my wife telling me that she had twins on the way. That was the impetus for me to start hiring because I had at that point, I was selling about 30 houses a year. I had a development company and I already had one child and I was expecting two more. And I didn't have much energy or time in the day to take on two more kids and keep performing the way I was. And so Sean was graceful enough to say, Todd, like, you need to make an investment here in your business or you're going to crash and burn. And I really credit, again, the coaching with you, Sean, every week thinking about my big why, thinking about where am I at in my business, where do I want to take it, reprioritize. That's been so instrumental to me to grow. And yeah, and it was basically, I grew my team to 4 of us, 2 administrators, a transaction coordinator, and a marketing-centric executive assistant that was handling email, doing social media, planning events for me. And I was working with buyers and sellers. And as we entered into COVID, it's when I brought on 2 additional agents. What leveraging through administrative help allowed me to do is have a little bit more time with my family, have be able to service my clients at a high level and generate new business. But it also enabled me to develop a new muscle of carving out time during the week to develop my recruiting ability. And so I'd say I went from being working a job as an agent, so I was lead generating, to, hey, I'm a business owner, I need to grow this. If I'm going to hire agents, I need to learn how to do that. And I had some recruiting experience from Starbucks, but again, really just dove into the principles and models that exist already around recruiting. And Sean was a big help there. And I've had some recruiting help along the way as well. Yeah, I brought on 2 agents. And then that's when Lisa Drapkin, a veteran 27-year agent, this is really the secret sauce to how you can grow a big team that I did not anticipate at the time. But
here, before you just give them the secret sauce, Todd, I want to share my screen just real fast, okay? I want to walk them through your organizational chart, your development over the course of the last 3 years. When Todd came to me, this is what it looked like. It was Todd as CEO. He had an outsourced transaction coordinator, charged $400 per transaction. Many of you are there right now. And I want to show you what happened next. He hired Haley, an administrative support person who is an absolute rock star, and helped him begin to really implement and deploy new strategies and tactics to help him grow his marketing, grow his appointments, his contracts, and ultimately his net revenue. Then he hired a showing partner. That was Alex. Now, Alex, once he closed 3 transactions, he promoted him to buyer agent on the team. Now, Alex is just an agent. He can work listings, buyers, the whole 9 yards, right, Todd?
Yep.
Okay, so it still had that outsourced transaction coordination assistance. Now, boom, look what happened as of July 14th of 2022. I mean, this thing just blew up. And by the way, Todd just went over the $3 million commission income mark for 2022. Guys, come on. The proof is in the pudding. The steps are already there. It's left foot here, right foot there, left foot here, right foot here. And guess what? Todd did just that. And his organization has grown exponentially as a direct result. So, okay, Todd, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I just want to give them a little context. Tell us about Lisa and how that whole relationship formed and how you were able to acquire her team to pull them into the now what is called the DDG group, Denman Drapkin Group. And how did that all come about?
Pretty serendipitous, Sean. And what I would say is, what is the saying? Opportunity is where luck meets preparedness. Or no, luck is where opportunity meets preparedness. And what I would say is it's because I hired hired Haley and the transaction coordinator and then hired Alex, that I did have more energy and bandwidth to think about what was next. And yeah, so to give you backstory on Lisa Drapkin, she's been in the business 27 years, sold over 1,500 houses, over $1 billion in real estate sold. She had a team of 6. We both joined our brokerage around the same time. And it was in the first week that she approached me and said, "Hey, Todd, I like you. We've done deals together. Would you consider joining my team? Because I'm thinking in the next 5+ years, I'm going to want to slowly, retire." And she hadn't at that time picked a date or anything like that, but she was thinking about succession planning. And having just come from being on a team, I wasn't interested. I said, "No, thank you, Lisa. That's flattering that you're offering that for me, but I'm really going to focus on my own team." And a month or 2 into COVID is when my phone rang again, and it was Lisa. This is probably a year and a half later. She had been watching what I was doing, growing the team, and speaking at office meetings, and just generally being around the office together. And she said, "Hey, I know I approached you a year and a half ago. I'm really starting to think seriously about what's next for me. I've got a team of 6. I really don't like managing. I love selling. I hate running this team. And so would you be open to having a conversation with me about how we might be able to work together?" And it was because I had scaled the business to where I had and because I had some support with coaching, and that I was ready to say yes to something like that. I think if I had been just doing it on my own, I would have said, "No, I'm too busy. I'm sorry." And so what transpired over the next year and a half was weekly meetings, a lot of difficult discussions, multiple attorneys, coaches. Like Lisa had her coach, I had my coach. They were helping us. It was a full group effort. And it got to a point a year in that I made her an offer and she said no. And turns out that she didn't want money. Money wasn't the motivating factor for her. It really had to do with something about me handing her cash for her database just didn't make sense. And so I had to go back to the drawing board, but the whole thing almost blew up at that point. And I remember that call.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I read The Golden Handoff in one day. I was really scrambling, trying to make this thing work. And it wasn't until I had a conversation with Sean that he's like, "Hey, have you thought about doing a net proceeds bonus structure with Lisa? And should we stop there and share a little bit about what that is?"
I think that makes sense, Todd. See, compensation is the secret sauce to everything in business development, in my opinion. Now, there are 8 different ways that you can compensate people. And what Todd's going to talk about is a net profits interest bonus distribution, which is an annualized bonus that you give based on net operating income. All right, so Todd, why don't you describe, because hear this, you guys, Todd was able to acquire this high producing team, have them kind of meld with what he was doing with 0 cash out of pocket. So let's talk about how did you do that, Todd? Because this, guys, this is the recipe. If you want to improve your production, if you want to improve your growth, this will happen exponentially if you follow this simple recipe. Go ahead, Todd. Talk to him about it.
Yeah, what it came down to was having Lisa get what she wanted, which really turned out to be a financial succession plan in perpetuity. And I also was nervous about, basically what's valuable in a retiring agent's business is their database, right? So if a team doesn't have the systems, models, and the lead generation all in place, well, that business is really just made up of the database and a future agent's ability to market to it. And so I felt like there was a massive risk with paying a large sum of money up front. I was nervous about that because what if that database of 7,000 people turned out to not yield an ROI that was important to me? And so where the net profits bonus really just struck a chord with Lisa and I is basically we were able to establish a floor. So let's say 400,000 was the floor. Starting on our closing date, any profit above 400,000, Lisa and I agreed we'd share a percentage of that delta with her annually. And then once she retires, the bonus to her is fixed. And then as long as the company is profitable above that floor, in perpetuity, she gets a paycheck. And so what's really brilliant about that model is that Lisa's incentivized to have her database be nurtured and encourages that database to use DDG. And then secondly, you know, a lot of the models that exist today for how an agent would acquire another agent's business revolve around referral fees. And the referral fees are typically for 5 years and then they stop. Well, what's keeping that agent, that retiring agent, from just now referring people to another agent, right? And so this is a really great win-win where I can ensure that her business is going to come to me for as long as she's around, and she knows that she's going to get a paycheck as long as the team is successful. And so she's acting like an owner because she's interested in increasing that net profit. So that motivates her to lower expenses, increase sales, increase motivation, increase retention, all the while she's selling herself. So yeah, it's been just wonderful.
And Todd, I'm so glad you got your mind around how this works, because this is, again, the secret sauce. So here's how it works, gang. In Todd's case, 0 to 400,000 net after all commissions, all expenses, and everything else. Well, that's Todd's money. There's no bonuses paid on that money. So he's essentially guaranteed to get 400,000 net. Now that's the floor. Anything above the $400,000 net, he's going to share a percentage of that net income with this individual who's made the decision to align with his organization. Now, we're not going to talk percentages, Todd. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that, but let's just say that it's 20% of any net dollar above 400,000. So let's say that the second year, or the first year, excuse me, they net 600,000. He's going to share $200,000, or 20% of $200,000 back to the agent who made the decision to align with him and his vision. So in this case, it would be $40,000 if I'm doing my math right? Let's say the second year, they net $1 million. Well, he's going to share 20% of $600,000. That's what's above the floor. So in this case, it would be 120,000 back with that individual. Now, this individual, we're also going to give them vesting rights after a 5-year period. Maybe it's 7 years, maybe it's 10 years. I mean, the longer the duration, the better for you, right? So let's say it's 5 years. So after 5 years, you can quit, you can go sit on a beach, you can go do whatever you want. You don't have to work here any longer, yet you're always going to get this bonus above the floor. So as long as the team is profitable, in Todd's case, above 400,000 net, then you're always going to get a bonus. Now, the moment that they decide to quit, that's going to create a ceiling in their net profits interest bonus distribution. Now, once they quit, though, they must identify their replacement, and we're going to go to the replacement with the same exact kind of compensation model. So let's say it went from 400,000 net to 1.4 million net. Now, the first person, Lisa in this case, is going to receive 20% of every net dollar above 400,000. So she's going to get a bonus check of 200,000 every year. Now, this bonus distribution is going to happen one time per year, and it's going to happen on or before, say, April 15th of the following year. Now, here's the key. They must be employed with your organization at the time of the bonus distribution. I trust this makes sense to you guys. This is a retention strategy. So let's say it's August, they have a bad week, they're feeling like they don't want to do this anymore. They're not going to quit because they know that that bonus is just right around the corner. Now, at the time of the bonus distribution, they're probably not going to quit either, because now they got 3.5 months of additional production under their belt. So this is, like I said, compensation is the golden handcuffs. You find a person of talent, you want to keep them on the team, and this is the way to do it. Now, at the time they choose to quit, let's say they're vested, they're going to go find their replacement, they're going to train that person, and let's just say it's a net of 1.4 million at that moment, right? So we're going to go to that person with the same bonus structure. Any net dollar above $1.4 million, you're going to get 20% of every net dollar. So now go build it as big as you can. Now, gang, let's just assume that this replacement, let's say they begin to fail. And rather than netting 1.4 million, it looks like they're going to net $1 million the next year. Well, what would their replacement do? Todd, what do you think? What's going to happen?
I'm going to go back to the original. I'm going to go back to Lisa and say, you found a dud replacement.
Right. So their predecessor is going to come back in because now we're messing with their bonuses, right? They might take the team back over. They're going to help build it back up to at least 1.4 million to turn it over to somebody else, right? So this gives you a layer of insulation to make sure that you don't get pulled back into that side of your business. And guys, again, this is the secret sauce. This is what we do at Icon Coaching to make sure that you're consistently increasing your production, your net income year after year after year. So Todd is a shining example of that. I mean, Todd, when you engaged with me, what was your level of production and total sales volume? Where were you at?
We did, I want to say 18 million.
So 18 million to now hit over 170 million. What are some of the key takeaways from our coaching relationship? Why don't you just pour into these people, just give them insight as to what you've learned and how your thinking has changed over the course of the last 3 years.
I mean, I think it does. Sean would probably agree with me that the biggest shift that needs to happen for solo agents, solo producers is just the shift in thinking that you're working a job to you're running a business. And I think a lot of us, and I'm guilty of all of this, by the way, we get hung up on the split. How much of every deal am I making? And I think we all can benefit from working on our mindset and really focusing on having an abundant mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset. And leveraging, I think leveraging really changed the game for me. It was leveraging through technology, people, and systems. And leveraging's scary. It's an easy principle to understand. Like, hey, if I hire this person to just do this job, it means it's great and I don't have to do it. But when you have to write the check for 60 grand, you're like, oh, that's not my 60 grand anymore. I have to give it to this person.
Right.
But what happens there is now that you're paying a salary for someone, I found a whole new level of motivation. I found that every day I was waking up and now I've got more than just dependents at home, like my kiddos, but I had dependents at the office. Like this executive assistant, this transaction coordinator, they're not going to have their rent payment or their mortgage payment unless I come through for them. And so it was really a reciprocating situation that I didn't anticipate when I made those first hires. And I would say the other thing that I did that really helped was I just got really clear on what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. So it's really about being brutally honest with yourselves. Do I like being out there cold calling, door knocking? Is it the sales aspect of the job that I love? Is it the marketing? Is it the transaction coordination? Like, what is it? What is your niche? What is your value proposition, your personal value proposition? And then what I would do is start to focus on, what is that quadrant called? It's I love it and I'm great at it. I love it, I'm not great at it. The 4 quadrants, I can't remember what they're called, but that's a great exercise for you all to do because you can get clarity around what you love to do and are great at. And then when you fill out the box that's I'm not great at it and I don't love to do it, well, guess what? That's your job description for your first admin hire, right?
Isn't that the truth? Well, here's the challenge though. People, they generally want to hire somebody who's just like them. So we have a proprietary hiring system here that will make sure that you hire the right person for the right job. To get them on the bus, put them in the right seat. Now, and we've only got a minute left, Todd, and I just want to give you a really quick compliment because there has been a fundamental shift in how you approach your business. And as an outsider kind of looking in, and let's face it, you guys, it's really hard to read the label of the bottle when you're stuck inside of it, right? So I have the opportunity to read the label and show Todd exactly what's going on. And here's the thing, and the biggest change in terms of mindset that I've experienced when working with Todd is that we would discuss, collaboratively, what are the strategies, what are the tactics that are going to move you forward with your production your gross income, your net income, and everything else. And at first, here was the thing. Todd would say, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take care of that, right? And so there was a fundamental change, and that was who, not you. Now, Todd has, through this process, become a much better delegator, and that's the key, right? So if you're not going to do it, there's got to be a who will do it. And Todd has finally, about 3 months ago, right? You stepped out of production altogether. You no longer go on listing appointments. You no longer work with buyers. You're now running a business. And I think that's where we belong.
Short of training agents, I'm no longer in production. And that was a hard step for me. It was hard for me to let go of those precious clients and those precious experiences. But it was through coaching that helped me really shift my mindset and take the leap. And we all have to take a leap to further ourselves. And I think that it starts with that mindset that, hey, if it doesn't go well, I can always go back and do the thing I was doing. It's just, there's only so many hours in the day, right? Like, we need help if we're gonna grow a big business and a big life. So
sure. Well, here's the bottom line, you guys. If your business isn't where it could be or should be, you're simply missing a key relationship. And I've never believed that more firmly than I do today, is that you're just missing a relationship. Okay, so I just encourage you, go out there and open the reticular activating system, all the possibilities that surround you right now. See, there's no reason that each and every one of you shouldn't be outsourcing your transaction coordination to give more of your time to the 20% effort. There's no reason that you shouldn't have a showing partner to take the most time-consuming part of the buying process off of your plate, which is showing homes. It's also the part of the process that requires the least amount of talent, right? So anybody can do that to develop then a compensation model that's mutually beneficial, allowing you and them to create a lifestyle that you both enjoy, that you both deserve. All right, so Todd, sadly, this is only 30 minutes. We've gone 32. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day, your busy schedule to make this happen for everybody else. And I trust that each and every one of you grabbed one little thing that's going to help you move forward in your production. And that's what this call is all about. So keep showing up every single Tuesday. Todd, any final thoughts, words of wisdom?
No, invest in yourself, invest in your business. That's the key.
Absolutely, Todd. And you're the shining example of that. So until we talk again next week, guys, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. Talk to you then. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.